So it's Friday the 21st of May. We decided for this Malawi engine here to get a new set of like OEM pistons that were standard, because the rings fitted nice. We checked the rings in the bores from a set of standard rings, so they should be good. But we sort of did this a little bit backwards, if you see what I mean, because on the top of the pistons here, well, not on the top of the pistons, on the top of the cylinders, there was a slight ridge. Now, what you're supposed to do is take that ridge off before you take the pistons out. And you need this tool here. This is called a ridge reamer. It's the most primitive thing you've ever seen, but there is different types. This one's a Lisle one. It works quite well. I'll show you in a bit more detail how it works. But the idea is there's a cutter in it, and as you turn it round the bore, it will gradually remove that that ridge. And I've done one here, and you can see that it's nice and smooth. It really does a nice job, because you can't cut deeper than the bore, if you see what I mean. You can't cut deeper than that. It always keeps parallel, but it is quite a bit of work to do. So, what's it look like? How does it work? Well, there's a series of bearing rollers on here. I think they're just rollers. I thought they were bearings, but they're not. And there's two sets of them. They're on a sort of a funky triangular type of thing, and there's a nut here that you tighten up, and as you tighten this up, see what happens? It squeezes out. It's got a fantastic O-ring on there to keep it together. There are, like I say, there are different types. I've seen them on YouTube, and now this seems to be the worst of the worst, but it's all I could get hold of, because I don't really use this. I mean, that was like $85. But why am I using it now? Well, the thing is, because I'm going to put new pistons in, I don't know what the tolerances are, for the height, and the last thing we want is new rings to hit that ridge, because if not, it'll shatter the rings. We don't want that. So we've got to remove it somehow, and it's not detrimental to oil consumption or anything like that. But like I say, what you're supposed to do is take the ridge off and then take the pistons out. But as you remember, when we took the pistons out, I thought it was carbon, because I've never seen wear like that on top of a cylinder. So what you need, before I tell you what I need, when it came in the box, there, can you read what it says at the bottom? It says, warning, cancer and reproductive harm. You thought I was buying bottles of COVID vaccine, wouldn't you? Anyway, what I've done is, prior to putting the tool in, I've stuffed a yellow microfiber right down at the bottom, there. Microfibers have this fantastic ability of collecting every piece of poo and dust ever, and then when you want to use it on your paintwork, it scratches all your car. They're really good for doing that. And then I'm going to put another one in on the top, and the reason for that is that, like Dave asked me in Ireland, how do you stop muck getting down when you're honing and things like that? Well, I'll just use those. So the first one is sacrificial, so we very carefully pull it out with all the shavings on. And then the bottom one, again, very careful, pull it out. And we'll get underneath this car and make sure that crank pin's all nice and clean before we put it in. And the oil ways, I point the crank so it's horizontal, so the oil ways are sticking out this way, if you see what I mean, like that way, not vertical, so the muck doesn't fall in. Right. How does this work then? I've never used one of these for years, but you set it into the cylinder. Oh, and it's got where is it now? Oh, that one there. These ones here. They've got a depth gauge, like a depth, so they run on top of the block. So you simply put it in. Wind it down a wee bit. So wind it down until it just to say touches, like that, and then you turn it using a 13/16 key on your ratchet. Why on a ratchet? Because as you're turning it, you've got to keep some pressure to stop it jumping. Can you hear it cutting? It only cuts a little bit off at a time. Don't go too wild with these things, if you see what I mean. It takes time. This is what it does, you see, it jumps. It would have been easy boring it, but we work to a budget, not a standard. Yeah, so I'm going to get on with that, and I've done this one, all I've got to do is 2 more, then we'll come back and have a look. So that's the amount of material removed from the top ridge, and it's all gone now, it's nice and smooth. The only thing we're going to do now is just follow through this edge here with a little bit of emery, smooth it down, and then I'm going to hone it, or not hone it, but I'm going to put the deglazing tool in, just tidy it up a bit. I had to take my shop coat off because this is real workout, this thing, and again it's 28 degrees today, so it's kind of warm. Would I buy another one? No. In fact, when I put it back in the box, I'll probably never ever use it again. But it did a good job, but it is hard work because it can chatter, if you see what I mean, when it goes around the ball. And the simple reason is this: it's a very poor design. Well, it might be the design, but there's something not quite right. You will see these guides here, these ones here. Oh, I sweat like a pig. Well, on the cutter there isn't one, and I would have thought there would have been one on the cutter, sort of like a different piece of casting, so it's the same height, just elongate these, so when you're turning it will ride evenly on 3 points on top of the cylinder. Well, what it does is it kicks over. Wow, what a pain in the ass it is. So back in the COVID box, put it on eBay. Like I say, I usually rebar blocks out, so what I've done is I've given it a good old washing down with brake cleaner and also a brand new microfiber. So now when we put it in the bore, it's nice and clean. Look, let's take a clean piece. You see there's bugger all, that's from last time. Let's have a look and see what they look like. I ain't got much light in here, but we should get a good idea. Oops, that's me. Yeah, you see, not too bad. The ridge is gone, that's gone. And the cylinders, there's no scratches in them at all. I mean, I only glaze busted those. They were a lot shinier before, but I think that's kind of adequate. So all we need now is some pistons. See you later. Bye.